COVID-19 outbreak and the rise of cyber attacks has really been the talk of the town for the past 8 to 9 months here. So what are we seeing? The cyber considerations amongst the global pandemic. So as the effects of the COVID-19 are felt around the world, so governments and business primary focus is the safety of their citizens, employees, and customers. So meanwhile, cyber attacks are impersonating health organizations. For example, there have been a lot of WHO related emails or healthcare organization emails, phishing emails that have come in into the organization, and they have also talked about of offering cure of these COVID-19 epidemics, etc., and again luring the staff into sharing their personal details and stuff. So these have acted, these such of emails and these trends that have acted uh, as a sort of a trigger to invoke fear that will provide these threat agents and these hackers an opportunity to gain to access to systems and sensitive information of multiple organizations. And if we see that a carefully considered approach will enable these organizations to proactively not only address cyber challenges during any extraordinary event, and but also it will help us the organizations to gear up to any such themed attack which may come their way. uh, as organizations, I think I'll come to this part of the slide later on. And if I can just share a bit of some stats. So there were some stats which were shared by Greg earlier. Seth also touched upon a few things. So the spread of coronavirus could impact more than 5 million businesses worldwide, and the most severely affected countries represent nearly 40% of the global economy. So that's the amount of, I think, the weightage and the impact that such uh, such a global pandemic could have. Enterprises across all sectors are confronted with an evolving landscape of cyber threats, which are resulting from the impact of the pandemic. Furthermore, a rapid transition to remote working arrangements has exerted pressure on security teams to quickly understand and address a wave of potential security risks. So I think uh, what these recent cyber attacks have done, it has really put a stress on the local IT teams which are there in those organizations. Plus, it has also put strain on the cyber security teams, the SOCs which are there in these organizations. And it is fascinating to note that a very 79% of the board members, and this is again from a global survey, they say and they admit that their organizations are ill prepared to deal with the crisis. Uh, co- uh, the COVID-19 theme domains, 50% are more likely to be malicious than any other domains. And this is again from a study which is based on from an 8 to 9 months recent study. Again, there was a Shez hospital which was hit by a cyber attack in the midst of the COVID-19 outbreak, I'm sure, and it was very much in the news as well. There are attacks which basically contain bait documents by criminals pretending to be from the Ukrainian Ministry of Public Health or the Center for Public Health. Again, one type of attack is also that COVID-19 scam alerts, which basically says that watch out for these risky COVID-19 website and emails and stuff. All such themed attacks are coming the organization's way from time to time. If I talked about, so there was above and around of on a circa 500 percent plus increase in these cyber attacks which were coming in. There were phishing and malicious websites and compromised business emails which were coming in. There were cyber criminals who were exploiting interest in the global epidemic in order to carry out malicious activities through various campaigns pertaining to the coronavirus outbreak. There were again business disruptions from these attacks. The COVID, one of the most famous recently in the Asian markets was of a ransomware attack, which came into a utility company here in Pakistan. Again, it hit the company, and again, certain ransoms were basically asked for from that utility company. Again, I think so. This is what the present layout of this COVID-19 pandemic and the cyber attacks has laid us out. So uh, at one point in time and in one place, we have a rising number of cyber attacks, and on the other side we have, for example, stats and numbers on the portion where board members are basically accepting the fact that the cybersecurity postures across in industries needs to be upscaled a lot uh, from from an aspect of why these what organizations should do to in order to tackle these growing cyber concerns. So firstly, I'll just present the basics, and then I will obviously talk about their more advanced versions and the move away from traditional cybersecurity measures. So for for instance, cybersecurity risks increased with more encouraged work from home practices. Proactive measures may enhance user experience and security for remote accesses. Safety enabling opportunities for telework. Organizations should firstly enforce a consistent layer of MFA. Scott again talked about the traditional the difference between traditional FMA and the one where we have a layer of biometric combined with it. So I think that would really help. Ensure identity and access management processes fully secure third-party identities access net- networks. So again, we had correct talk about how third-party identities and third-party risks can be cordoned off. Uh, Also, having a comprehensive view of privileged identities within their IT environments, and including a procedure to detect, prevent, or remove orphan accounts. I think this is again an area where organizations do need to focus. These are all basic things, but I think from since the COVID-19 and the rising cyber attacks has again put to question that are we following our basics right? And again, and uh, obviously cyber security for 3 to 5 years back wasn't so much talked about theme, but again from a recent 2 to 3 years it has again picked up. The theme has picked up uh, uh, criticism as well on the part that obviously on the part of investing funds and making a business case. And that was one of the reasons that I made a comment earlier on as well, that uh, the amount of investment which is being poured into digitization initiatives, I think this should be at par or at level with the amount of investment which goes into crafting a cyber security risk postures for the organizations. And again, there is an opportunity cost to each and everything. There will be a point where the organizations may reach and they may come to a tip off point. But I think uh, the more investment which is poured into the cyber security postures uh, cross industries, whether it be FIs, whether it be hotel industry, hospitals, etc., or various industries, if we can talk about. So I think these investments should be there in order to gear up these organizations to have a consistent and to have a consistent armor with them in order to deal with all of these cyber attacks. Uh, ag- Again, some measures to avoid phishing expeditions. So organizations should exercise caution in handling any email with COVID-19 related subjects. Uh, there was also use trusted sources such as legitimate government websites for up-to-date fact-based information about COVID-19. Do not, and especially do not reveal your personal or financial information in any email, and do not respond to email solicitations for this information, because I think no FI, no organization will obviously ask for your personal PII information or your personal credentials in such form or shape. Uh, Again, digital transformation enables organizations to evolve security safeguards and systems to prevent intrusion and access to critical systems. In an era of cyber everywhere with more technological transformation and with the increased use of cloud and broader networking capabilities, the threat landscape continues to increase, and cyber criminals will again look to attack operational systems and backup capabilities simultaneously in highly sophisticated ways. And again, the most pivotal thing, in my opinion, here is that organizations can improve their defense postures uh, and attacks and readiness with good cyber hygiene and a very strong and a very robust incident response is strategy, architecture, and implementation of cyber recovery solutions to mitigate the impact of cyber attacks. Uh, Cyber insurance, for instance, was a very uh, new concept here on. And uh, I think in recent times, it has gained immense amount of weightage and importance, and now we see more firms going for that option of getting their cyber insurances in place, so that in case of any attack, they can be insured according to some form or shape, uh, as per the value of the asset against which they are seeking that insurance proposition. But again, this is again a very new recent area, which will again need a lot of focus and a lot of drive from the senior management in all the organizations, and a lot of maths goes behind this, a lot of modeling goes behind this, and this again will start off from a very basic thing, which is there in the ICS world here, which is identification of your critical assets, your critical information assets, which are there in each and every organization. I think timely, appropriate identification of all those assets will enable an organization to define their strategies and their uh, uh, information handling mechanisms as per those asset classifications which they have. So uh, again, moving forward, a viable cyber resilience program will also again expands the boundaries of traditional risk domains to new capabilities like employee support services, out of band communication, collaboration tools, and a cyber recovery vault. Again, a new and a novel concept here, but very much in now these days. Coming to the specific actions which the organizations may intend to take, which will actually aid the organizations in this rapidly changing environment in light of the recent cyber threats. So, update your VPNs, network infrastructure devices, and the devices being used to remotely connect to work environments with latest software patches and security configurations. Set up again multi-factor authentication. We have talked about it. Scott has again mentioned and covered a more advanced version of this, and it will be really helpful. But for organizations to adopt this, and there are certain organizations and there are certain sectors, certain industries as well, who are still in the age of implementing multi-factor authentication, basic ones for their current application inventory in their organizations. And as the sooner they do it, so the sooner they will feel more secured from time to time. Thirdly, ensure that IT security personnel test VPN limitations to prepare for massively increased usage, and if possible, carry out modifications such as rate limiting in order to afford priority to users requiring larger uh, bandwidths. This is a very critical area, seeing the recent heavy usage which organizations have felt, and they are still feeling. Some of the countries across the globe are out of from the first wave, and some have again entered the second wave. and some are basically preparing for the third. So I think this is one aspect where VPN limitations and bandwidth usage needs to be tested massively for a very increased usage. Closely monitor privileged accesses by optimizing the behavioral analytics tools des- designed to detect suspicious activity for admins and those who have access to critical data. Again, a very pivotal area of privileged access management, which needs quite a bit of focus in these new testing times. Security information and event management SIEM systems should be adapted in order to strengthen the log monitoring rules covering the triggering of alerts. SOCs and monitoring teams should be available to manage the increased number of alerts, to sort them by risk based on a robust process, and to detect false positives from suspicious real events. Uh, Pay better attention to the following remote access cybersecurity tasks, which are, for example, log review, attack detection, incident response, and recovery. So, more on this in the next couple of slides. Whitelisting and flagging of external emails. Furthermore, inform employees about any anticipated increase in phishing attempts with the COVID-19 related topics or any other new campaign related topics which may come in. Web and email protection via web filtering technologies aimed at preventing employees from visiting malicious websites. Establish email filtering rules to block spams and phishing emails. Hospitals and other institutions with critical infrastructures must observe these guidelines with more strictly and should consider whitelisting as well, because obviously they are dealing with a lot amount of customer data, and they have their integrated application infrastructures as well to deal with. Limit administrator access and activities to those that are absolutely necessary. So this is again one of the golden rules of that accesses should be there on a need to have basis. Administrative activities should also be more effectively monitored and verified by applying the principle of dual control as and when where they may deem fit. Increase emergency management capacities by reallocating resources. Check if your backup is working, and test your failover capabilities. I think this is when the COVID-19 came up to face the globe in March. I think one of the aspects which took organizations by surprise was that normally the DR testing things takes place in the month of June, and for example, invoking them and uh, in order to invoke the BCPs for around a time period in March, I think this was again a challenge. But I think BCPs and DRs should be tested on a real time basis, where we could actually test the failover capabilities as well if there are any in your existing architecture or there. The help desk should also be prepared to handle an increased number of events and should be able to apply the procedure to categorize those events as well. Endpoint monitoring protection should be enhanced by a multifold basis. Um sorry so in order to safeguard against these rising trends, again, as the saying goes, that prepare for the worst, review internal crisis management and incident response capabilities as well as the and considering expanding your provider landscape as well, where if you have outsourced them to any third party as well. uh, I think the messages that should go to the employees is, again, those are very basic, and those are of your how to handle your office and your information hygiene. Uh, there should be complete adherence to company policies. All policies, guidelines, rules concerning accesses to company network outside the office must be meticulously observed. Make sure to report any suspicious behavior to the support functions where they are. Do not allow family members to use your work related devices. Use a company approved storage solution. Make sure to store all your work data in a secure location that is approved by and accessible to your company. Only use company approved devices. If if connecting through your home Wi-Fi, ensure that the Wi-Fi network has a strong password. Avoid using public or unsecured networks, if any. Uh, Moving on, I think this is just a concept which I just wanted to share here, that highly resilient organizations marshal resources, communicate efficiently, and coordinate responses. And I think this slide basically depicts the importance of making quick decisions. As I mentioned earlier as well, that traditional CISOs now need to move out of their traditional roles of basically protecting an organization. So protecting role is always there, but I think they need to now come onto the table and obviously say and admit that okay, our organizations will be uh, the our security controls may be breached, but this is our incident response plan which is in place, and this is our path to recovery that will be there. So during a crisis, executives and members of security teams need to filter available info to quickly make optimal decisions. Borrowing principles originally developed by military strategists, organizations benefit from incorporating tactical operation techniques such as the observe, orient, decide, and act, also known as the Hoda loop. So I think this is a very straightforward process flow, which, if it is followed in its most sense, it can really help the organization to by accelerating the response time, and where we can harmonize efforts with the broader team. So no decision has to be final in this entire loop. And again, making small mistakes is often better than taking no action at all. And in this age of cyber security threats which are there, so you need to take calls and you need to make decisions, whether it be right or wrong. That's again that will come later on. But I think you need to take those calls and you need to have the feedback flowing in from your teams to the senior management of how their each and every action is being carried out. So lastly, I think uh, the Cyber Security Incident Response Plan, CSRIP, which is most probably known as. So, as the COVID-19 crisis unfolds, organizations that have yet to experience a cyber threat still have the luxury of the time, and still they should use it wisely. So, for example, uh, there may be very few organizations left which have not seen either a phishing email labeled as a COVID-19 theme or stuff. But if there are such organizations left over, I think that's the time there which they could use. And this crisis life cycle here, which is I've just tried to put it, I've just leveraged it from the Institute for Business Value Analysis research here. And so this basically gives us a good glimpse of that organizations without a CSRIP should create one. Leaders that have already been through that stage of planning should take the opportunity now to evaluate the incident response plan for any gaps which are there based on their COVID-19 security posture. Even when a black swan event transforms into a longer term reality, such as the COVID-19, there are options which are there. The key is to find ways to improve those options and buy time to make better decisions. Just for clarity purposes, the anatomy of a CSRP. So it basically covers that how to qualify and classify a crisis event. It also holds the roles and responsibilities of internal and external team members, including a hierarchical view that summarizes decision making authority and escalations. A crisis communications plan for communicating with internal and external is stakeholders. An inventory of the organization's HVAs and mission critical capabilities, along with the critical support services that enable these. Regulatory and disclosure requirements related to the above. An inventory of supplemental operation support capabilities like remediation services and threat intelligence sharing with the community, computer emergency response readiness teams. federal law enforcements or any other groups that may be there. So I think this also plays a very important role in making a very robust CSRIP plan, which organizations today should be focusing on. On a general level, the FIs here in the Asian markets and obviously in Pakistan, so they are on that path to making this plan on a more robust basis, and crafting their ICS risk postures for their organizations. And also there are certain common platforms as well where threat intelligence sharing takes place as well, from the FI's perspective as well, and from other industry practices also. And I think that really helps in basically looking at, for example, if there are certain IOCs which are there, which have come in, if if there are other threat vectors and there are other threat agents that are being used, so that can also be analyzed on a cross industry basis as well, to make our incident response plan more robust. So these were a few sort of a few basics there, which might help the organizations in this theme, in this current global epidemic as well. And apart from this, I think it's always pivotal that we stick to the basics and getting the basics right. There are a lot of cybersecurity solutions which are available in the market, which offer real advanced versions. Some we have also got a glimpse of in this webinar as well. And I think sticking to those will really help these organizations benefit to prevent the to prevent against any threat actors which come in through these phishing attacks or stuff. Uh, the employees and the staff are the most critical assets of an organization, and being cyber security professionals, I think it is our responsibility to educate and to create that sort of awareness in those staff, so that their organizations could be protected. So that's all from my side. October is the cyber security awareness month. I am sure everyone is aware of that. So, and I think this webinar also feeds into the same theme as well. So, thank you for having me again.